What's going on? Coach Luca back here with a little bit of Coach's Corner. And I wanted to take you through something that is very beneficial but very underutilized when it comes to strength and performance. And that is overcoming isometrics. And I'll explain the difference between overcoming, yielding isometrics, and why this is so good when it comes to improving performance. So overcoming isometrics is when we push into an immovable object and or pin, right? Which what we'll be doing today is pins to create absolutely as much force as we possibly can. It's very safe and it can do a number of things. Increase strength, it potentiates, right? Because it gets so many high threshold motor units and muscles firing that can increase power afterwards as well. But it's great at working on weak links. So if you've been lifting, for instance, bench press or squat, you know that you're stronger through certain areas and usually have a weak link, kind of where you get stuck. So it's great for working on those. But one of the things that is shown, the science is showing, is that it can recruit even 8% more than even eccentrics or concentric movements. Essentially, it just gets a lot of muscles, the fast twitch ones, firing, right? And what I want to take you through today is different protocols, because you can't do this for long periods of time because it's so intense. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a couple of methods and examples of how you can use this. Now, the first one is if we were using this as a method in our strength training session for the main lift. And this is the ones that I like. And what I'm going to do, I'll show you guys just a couple reps because it is extremely challenging if I push the whole way. And I'm going to use it with bench, kind of like in that sticking point. Now, what we're looking to do here is do anywhere from like about 3 to 6 reps. 6 is pretty high, but 3 to 6 is my range. I'll usually go like 4 to 5 reps on this. And I'm going to push for 5 seconds. Like anywhere to 3 to 7 seconds is kind of like the one rep, but I'm going to use 5. 5 is kind of where we go with. And then I'm going to rest for 5 seconds, okay? Because you want that long rest in between every rep in the set. But also do a 2-second ramp up. So that means I'm going to go 1, 2, I'm ramping up, and then really push hard for 5. So I'm going to just do 2 reps to give you guys an example of how this looks like on a bench press, okay? Now you can set the pins up in different positions depending on your weak link, depending on what you want to work on. I'm going to do it right here. So I'm going to get good position, upper back's tight, core's braced. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, and rip. 5 seconds pause. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2. And sliding back out. So that was just 2 reps. So you can see I was ramping up for 2 seconds and then ripping for 5. My thought process is, how can I lift this whole, I would say this whole bench up? How can I lift up this whole squat rack? Right, I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can. So I would do that for about 4 reps. Okay, like I said, the range is somewhere between 3 and 6, but usually we're doing this for 4 reps, maybe 5 reps. And that would be a method. I'm going to do that for about 3 to 4 sets, 5 sets at most. Like I said, because it's so taxing. And this can really improve strength levels. But something that we'll usually do to also, if your goal is performance, is to go from this and take a long break, talking about 2-minute break, and then do something explosive. So think, but it's gonna be in line with what we just did. So if we do bench, it might be medicine ball throws, right? Or might be laying down on the ground. Somebody throws that med ball, you're throwing it back up. It might be a plyometric push-up, because it enhances, like I said, that recruitment of high threshold motor fibers. And so you can then be more explosive afterwards. I'm gonna show you guys another variation here, obviously for the lower body, with pins, overcoming isometrics on the squat. And I'm gonna use the example with the safety squat bar. The reason I like that is because a lot of people don't have good mobility to get under the bar. And so when that happens, when they're doing something like overcoming isometrics, their posture might be off, right? With a safety squat bar, I keep the elbows here, keep that good posture, chest tall. My shoulders don't have to literally use their max ranges of motion. But I'm gonna do the same thing, okay? I'm gonna do the same protocol. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of variations of what you can also do going from overcoming isometrics straight into something explosive, okay? But first we're gonna do a similar example here. I'm gonna get under. I'm gonna step under here, set up. All right, so now I find that good position. What's great is that I can find, am I gonna push the knees forward a little bit, be a little more vertical? I'm gonna make it more hip dominant. I can pick and choose here. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit more hip dominant right here. 1, 2, and so that would be rep 1, and I actually step out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming under. 1, 2. Okay, so I'm just doing 2 reps right now. You could actually see me lift that off a little bit. For partner, somebody hold it down, okay? But creating as much tension as I possibly can. What I didn't mention earlier is that you have about a 20-degree carryover of overcoming isometrics. That means if I was pushing from this position, my strength is gonna carry over 20 degrees here and then 20 degrees here, right? Which is great because it means that we don't have to, for instance, go as low to see that carryover. Now, as I'm resting a little bit because those reps were hard, I'm gonna show you something that we've also implemented into our strength, and explosive days, which is an isometric, stepping back out, and then for instance, going straight into something explosive. Now this is where we usually do an isometric maybe for 6, 8 seconds, step out, rest just a little bit, and then go into something explosive. So I'll give you an example of this. So I'm gonna set up. I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna go all out here. Step out, rest a little bit. So now we've recruited all those high threshold motor units. And then from there we'd go into our explosives, right? But I only did 1 rep of that really hard push, stepped out. Usually would take probably a 10-second break, maybe even a 15-second break, then do my explosive jumps, okay? What's great about this is that we can do a lot of different, every movement pattern that you can think of, because what you can also do with these is actually do the overcoming isometrics, and then later on, we're talking about 6, 7 minutes later in the workout, do your maximum strength work. Okay, so think overcoming isometrics with a bench, later on bench pressing, okay? Same pattern, right? So we're going and building that same pattern. But we can do this for just about anything. So if I slide out here, I want to show you a quick variation because I want you to think about the movements and how you can use this in many different ways. So if you're thinking about the row, this is how we'll use the row. Where I would come up, 1, 2, right, 5 seconds, put it back down, rest for 5 seconds, try to rip through that bench. So now we got our pulling movement. We could do the same thing on a vertical. If you think about setting up a bar on a pull-up / chin-up variation, holding here, driving as hard as you can. A great variation that we use a lot of is think of bringing those pins lower and having the bar come up. And now we're gonna pull the bar up. So in a split stance position, this athletic lunge, and the pins are here, and we're driving up single leg into those pins as hard as we possibly can. We love that for lower body work, more so than something like deadlifts, because they're a little bit more challenging. If we do deadlifts, we do it closer to lockout position, but you can do it with just about anything. So if you want to improve strength, power, and specifically, bang out weak links in specific positions, just use this methodology and implement it into your training. Let me know how it goes.